Hi everyone, and welcome to another lesson with A Course in Miracles, and today we're on lesson 71. So we're working on through getting to this wonderful place of peace inside our minds every day that we're doing these lessons. That's what it's bringing us closer towards. Our lesson today, as always, that we have to keep in our minds throughout today is only God's plan for salvation will work. Only God's plan will help us feel peace, feel joy, feel love in totality. The rest of the time when we're trying to find it with the ego mind, it's sending us down a rabbit hole all the time. We never reach it. We think we're going to get there with it, but we never do. So let's use today's lesson to really follow God's plan. So here's what we're asked to do. You may not realize that the ego has set up a plan for salvation in opposition to God's. It is this plan in which you believe. Since it is the opposite of God's, you also believe that to accept God's plan in place of the ego's is to be damned. This sounds preposterous, of course, yet after we have considered just what the ego's plan is, perhaps you will realize that, however preposterous it may be, you do believe in it. The ego's plan for salvation centers around holding grievances. It maintains that if someone else spoke or acted differently, if some external circumstance or event were changed, you would be saved. Thus, the source of salvation is constantly perceived as outside yourself. Each grievance you hold is a declaration and an assertion in which you believe that says, if this were different, I would be saved. The change of mind necessary for salvation is thus demanded of everyone and everything except yourself. How true, eh? We always think that we aren't the problem. It's everything outside of us. If only that were different. If only I had this. If only I was there, then I would feel blah, 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 And yeah, it's just madness the way we live. So the role assigned to your own mind in this plan, then, is simply to determine what, other than itself, must change if you are to be saved. According to this insane plan, any perceived source of salvation is acceptable provided that it will not work. This ensures that the fruitless search will continue, for the illusions persists that, although this hope has always failed, there is still grounds for hope in other places and in other things. Another person will yet serve better. Another situation will yet offer success. Like, how many people have remarried trying to find the right partner because, it's like there's something wrong with them, or, if I get a bigger house, I'll feel better, or if I get a nicer car, and it lasts for a snippet. You get that fantastic car and you're driving it and you think this is amazing, but eventually, the loveliness of something, it just weighs, and then you're wanting something else catches your ego. Oh, this will make you happy now, let's go here. So it's just crazy. Such is the ego's plan for your salvation. Surely you can see how it is in strict accord with the ego's basic doctrine: seek but do not find. For what could more surely guarantee that you will not find salvation than to channelize all your efforts in searching for it where it is not? Yep, we're searching outside when the answers are all inside. God's plan for salvation works simply because by following his direction, you seek for salvation where it is. But if you are to succeed, as God promises you will, you must be willing to seek there only. Otherwise, your purpose is divided and you will attempt to follow two plans for salvation that are diametrically opposed in all ways. The result can only bring confusion, misery, and a deep sense of failure and despair. So do you really want that? I know I don't. So let's try and get on this plan of God's, of love's. How can you escape all this? Very simply, the idea for today is the answer. Only God's plan for salvation will work. There can be no real conflict about this because there is no possible alternative to God's plan that will save you. His is the only plan that is certain in its outcome. His is the only plan that must succeed. Let us practice recognizing this certainty today, and let us rejoice that there is an answer to what seems to be conflict with no resolution possible. All things are possible to God. Salvation must be yours because of his plan, which cannot fail. Begin the 2 longer practice periods for today by thinking about today's idea and realizing that it contains 2 parts, each making equal contribution to the whole. So God's plan for your salvation will work and other plans will not. Do not allow yourself to become depressed or angry at the second part. It is inherent in the first. And in the first is your full release from all your own insane attempts and mad proposals to free yourself. They have led to depression and anger, but God's plan will succeed. It will lead to release and joy. Remembering this, let us devote the remainder of the extended practice periods to asking God to reveal his plan to us. Ask him very specifically, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? And what would you have me say, and to whom? So they're the things we're going to be asking all day today. Keep them when you're moving about your day. What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? And what would you have me say, and to whom? Give him full charge of the rest of the practice period and let him tell you what needs to be done by you in his plan for your salvation. He will answer in proportion to your willingness to hear his voice. Refuse not to hear. The very fact that you are doing the exercises proves that you have some willingness to listen. This is enough to establish your claim to God's answer. And in the shorter practice periods, tell yourself often that God's plan for salvation and only his will work. Be alert to all temptations to hold grievances today and respond to them with this form of today's idea. Holding grievances is the opposite of God's plan for salvation, and only his plan will work. Try to remember today's idea some 6 or 7 times an hour. There could be no better way to spend half a minute or less than to remember the source of your salvation and to see it where it is. So that's it. That's all of it today. So 2 practice periods again, 10 to 15 minutes, thinking about what the statement is first and really taking that in. Only God's plan for salvation will work. And then the remainder of the time asking the questions, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? And what would you have me say, and to whom? So those are the questions we want to keep asking and then waiting for the answers to come. And they will come from our very, willingness to want to know the truth and to listen for the truth, to go past all the grievances, all the distractive thoughts that will probably arise in doing these practices. Let them fall away, and each time you feel a grievance, it's like let the grievances come up. Notice them, dismiss them. Another grievance, I see it. Yeah, it's wanting this or this. Time to let go. What would you have me do, God? What would you have me say? And to whom? This is what we're weaving through to the other side. And then throughout the day, for the practice periods, 6 to 7 times an hour, which is quite a lot, but it's, we're wanting to get to this really great place inside, so let's dedicate ourselves to doing it. And it doesn't take long just to say, holding grievances is the opposite of God's plan for salvation, and only his plan will work. So holding grievances is the opposite of God's plan for salvation, and only his will work. So realizing that when we have that, it's becoming aware. That's the real premise of all of this. It's becoming aware of what the mind is doing, because we've been living in this way for so long. So we're very used to it. So we become unconscious quite quickly, and it starts running its little thing. Before we know it, we're very robotic and we're going about our day. We're getting annoyed, and our feelings can be an indicator. Oh, I'm angry. Oh, I'm this. I've gone off track. Those feelings that are really negative and not serving you well. Getting annoyed, getting angry, getting depressed, getting sad. You've created a grievance. There's something that's not right in your world and you're wanting to change that outer world. Because you think then things will be better, but it's not the case. It's like your source is within and you've become detached from it. That's why you're upset. You've lost the truth of who you are. The love that you are inside, it's there. It could be anything that you're dealing with. It's all inside to find that, just to give yourself that peace inside. You've got to give it to yourself. And you can only do that by going inwards, by listening to the voice within, to taking that time today. Really take your time today to take in these words, these messages from the energy of love, because the universe has got your back. You know, it's brought you here for an amazing experience in this world, and no matter what the experience, it's all here for learning, and it's a matter of changing perspective. You know, even lockdown, we're living in a lockdown period, and you could think, oh, this is tragic, I'm not getting to but it's almost like we've been given this opportunity as a reset to go inwards. This is the time to do the inner work, make it important. You've got a gift here, you've got the time to do it, to really rest inside. And gosh, when we can all come back out, the world could change, you know, in such a way, because we have changed internally. We're going to see everything different outside. So we are living in a really amazing time right now to shift and change and transcend. So take this wonderful lesson with you today. Follow God's plan, because that's the one that's going to bring you happiness, joy, peace. That's all the things that you truly want, that is your birthright. That is what you are. So yes, have a lovely day. Have peace, have joy, have all of those things in abundance, because they're there for you to have. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care now. Bye.